Good morning, dear friends. We are very happy to welcome you again in our online course on Satya-Se education and human values. And this time, for the concluding session of our module 3, which started last October. Since then, we have seen very important topics presented during the 16 sessions that this module lasted. So as you know already, this last meeting will be dedicated in summarizing what we have done so far. But the end of module 3 is also the conclusion of course 1. We have done 3 modules, so it will be meaningful today to cover not only the summary of module 3, but also of module 1 and 2. To do that, we will have first our dear Raksa to present the summary of module 1. Then our dear Susanne will cover the summary of module 2. And then for module 3, all the presenters of the topics will come to present briefly their part. So it will be a full time, and with this, it will be really a chance, an opportunity to experience in its totality the beauty of this unique universal program of Satya-Se education in human values. So now I would like to invite Raksa to start with the summary of module 1. Good morning, dear Raksa.
Good morning, dear George. Good morning, everyone. It's such a joy to be here together today. And like you said, to share together just a glimpse of this whole beautiful Satya-Se education in human values course that we have covered together. So as George said, we will be covering the summary of the online course 1 today. And through this beautiful image, which we can see, which is a path, a beautiful path. And maybe you recall in our first session, we actually said that Satya-Se Educare is a path for life. So like with every path, the destination is definitely important, but so is the journey. And on this Satya-Se Educare journey that we have spent together and shared together, I would also like to say that the company is so important. So we will shortly see a glimpse of what we covered first in course 1, module 1, which took place from February to June 2021. If you recall, we began by seeing the philosophy of Satya-Se education. And with that, we saw that it was George who helped us understand that the word education has 2 Latin roots. The first one, educare, which means to foster, to nourish, and to feed. And the second Latin root, educere, which is to bring out, to educe, and to manifest. So what is it that we have to bring out? And we all know that, of course, this refers to the essence of who we truly are, the human values that reside within. And with this double root, this is why many times we talk about the philosophy of Satya-Se educare, which, like every little seed we know, has this inherent beauty within. And educere refers to bringing out this inherent beauty, the inherent human values within each one of us. And educare refers to the nourishment from the educator. We also spoke a lot about the 5 universal human values that the founder of this program, Satya-Se, talks to us about. We began with the value of love, And love, indeed, as we saw, is the undercurrent of all the human values. Love in thoughts and words is truth. Love in action is righteousness. Love in feelings is peace. And love in understanding is nonviolence. We saw that indeed love is not just an emotion, it's beyond that. It's a universal energy that permeates it all. It has existed, it exists now, and it will always exist. It is unconditional because it does not change in space or time. And it truly is our very natural characteristic, as Satyasai refers to us many times as embodiments of love. Then George helped us understand the value of truth as well when we looked into it. And as we saw, like with this image of the iceberg, we truly have to dive deep within to discover and come to an answer to this eternal question, which is, who am I? And through the philosophy of Satyasai education, but also George had spoken to us about the ancient Greek philosophers like Socrates, who reminded us that the true purpose of life is to know ourselves, to know who we truly are. And like with this circle, science can only help us understand half of the circle. It's a semicircle, whereas spirituality completes our understanding and makes us wholesome individuals. We also saw with truth, through its Greek meaning, that it's actually the word aletheia. It means to not forget what we truly are. So again, truth is not just not speaking lies or speaking the truth. It is something much more profound and realizing our true nature. Through the value of righteousness, our dear Vasiliki reminded us in Satyasai's words that that which is not practiced cannot be righteousness. Observe righteousness by being yourselves. So again, what does it mean to be ourselves? Well, we first have to have confidence in our spiritual heart, in our conscience, our higher self, the determination to really engage in discovering who we are. And then the goal, the realization of who we are, comes with this process. And simple advices we saw together as the importance of speaking good, hearing good, seeing good, doing good, and just being good. And we saw this beautiful connection between righteousness and peace. In Satyasai's words, if there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in character. If there is beauty in character, there will be harmony in the home. If there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. If there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. And talking about peace, our dear Marianne truly helped us understand that peace is a state of mind. It's balance, it's harmony, it's equanimity. And when we are engaged in our own process of self-transformation, because educare is a self-transformation path, we saw through this word play, I want peace. If we actually eliminate the I, our ego, if we get rid of the want, which represents our desires, we will ultimately just remain with peace. And Esther, Chris, very sweetly also helped us to see that nonviolence is not just refraining from harming others, but it is actually also alleviating the suffering of others in every way we can. Through this powerful word acronym with WATCH, we saw that we can be careful and observe and not hurt anyone with our words, actions, thoughts, character. And to do this, we need to follow the guidance of our spiritual hearts. We saw that in its most active part, non-violence, when we alleviate or help alleviate the suffering of others, it is truly because we understand the underlying unity present among everyone and every living being. Suzanne helped us to understand the importance of character. We saw that how the human values are like this guiding compass for us to really have a wholesome and noble character. We also saw that 3HB, that is the unity of head, heart, and hands, this harmony helps us really reflect integrity in our thoughts, words, and actions. And we're no more little pieces, but again, a wholesome character. And when we are guided by these human values, it is like putting a string on a kite. We no longer get carried away by any direction of the wind, but it helps us achieve stability, nobility, and ability. And as ISSSE-SE reminds us, the end of education is character, building these beautiful habits and good habits, because character is indeed the fragrance of a flower. Character is power. And one of the last topics we saw was the life and teachings of the founder of this spiritual educational program. We saw with Brigitte that ISSSE-SE dedicated his whole entire life. Every single moment was an act, an attitude of selfless service. Not only in the field of education, as we can see here through EduCare, but making us aware of our connection with everyone, the whole creation. So through the work of ISSSE-SE, his spiritual organization, we saw lots of different projects and initiatives in the fields of social care, Medicare, and EnviroCare. Again, ISSSE-SE's example is indeed the hallmark and the inspiration behind everything that we do. And he has inspired millions of hearts to follow his example. We also had a look at a brief history of the ISSSE-SE Education and Human Values program from its very initial start in the 1960s and how it has spread worldwide. With SSEHV initiatives all around the world through its institutes, through the ISSSE schools, and all the wonderful ISSSE Education in Human Values initiatives and projects that are taking place in different countries around the world. And with this inspiring journey up to Module 1, I would like to invite our dear Suzanne to continue now with a glimpse of what we saw together in Course 1, Module 2. Thank you, dear Suzanne.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Raksha, for this lovely summary of Module 1. And as you said, as we know, I will continue recalling what happened during Module 2, which took place from October 21 to June 22. And we began this new process with our dear Marianne, who ushered us from the philosophy of EduCare and its pillars into the pedagogy of this program. And this means to how we can implement the program. And it also brings forth the method and the strategies. Now, of course, the pedagogy is integral education. We have seen this, and it aims at the overall blossoming of the child, body, mind, and soul. So this means helping the child develop a wholesome, integral, happy, harmonious personality in which the human values are embedded. And since this is an integral education, it also helps, as we have seen already in Module 1, it helps us bring together the two aspects of education, outer education and an inward path of experience. So the child learns to the knowledge and the skills that the child needs to apply knowledge in his or her life and in society, and also embarks on this inward journey to learn more about himself or herself and the goal and purpose of life. So all this happens is supported by fostering self-discipline, which helps the child go within and learn more about his latent potential and also work on himself or herself And eventually this process of embedding the human values leads the child to become a loving and caring citizen, and to the point of really serving society. And this process also fosters very, very much self-confidence, as we know that to go within, we are learning to connect to conscience, and this becomes our inner stability. And the overall process helps the children also learn to distinguish between material values and needs and spiritual values and needs, and to find a balance. And of course, to uplift their own lives with a broader spiritual perspective. Now, to conduce us, to lead us to the implementation of this, of course, we need the right environment. We need to create the right grounds to be able to do this. So Raksha helped us understand how this can be defined as an environment and culture of love. And she also pointed out how an environment can be both physical and social. A physical environment, nature, or a social unit like the family, like a school class, like society itself, and how we are not only part of our environment, but we actually mold our environment. So this means that environment and culture, because when we mold our environment, we are actually building our culture. They are interdependent, and they depend on how we act and speak and think. So of course, when we bring human values into education, we know that the undercurrent is love. We necessarily, automatically, naturally are uplifting our culture and our environment. It is a dual process. They are interdependent with this energy of love. And we are helping the children, as we said, broaden their vision and become more inclusive and include this spiritual perspective. And Satyasai actually says that culture and spirituality are the same because both lead to our refinement. Of course, in this process, the teacher is extremely important, the role of the teacher. So the next session was dedicated to the teacher as an exemplar of human values, because we know that children learn from our own example. And Satyasai has said that teachers reveal the direction and the goal, while students pave the way and journey into the future. So to be able to do this, teachers need to know the direction and the steps to take. That means that teachers and whoever accompanies a child in his or her growth and development first need to be and then do. And only then can we actually tell children what to do. We need to go through the process and experience and experiment the process ourselves. And of course, the example is fundamental because examples orient, guide, give direction, inspire. And children, we know, imitate adults, they imitate others. So we need to offer them good examples so they can actually do this. And of course, this also means encouraging them to follow these same steps. And of course, we know that teachers, we all know this in our own personal experience, that we remember the teachers for who they were and not only for what they actually taught us, as Satyasai says. Of course, as we move along in this process, in this journey with human values, we need some support. We need to give the children support and ourselves. And this support arrives in the form of what we define, what we refer to as the 5 Ds. These Ds are dedication, devotion, discipline, discrimination, and determination. And we said that what most counts is to have, first of all, a goal. We have identified a goal in this education, in this pedagogy, in this methodology. The goal is to help the children blossom and bring forth, elicit these beautiful human values from within. It's a wonderful goal. So we need to know which steps to take. And this is why the pedagogy is leading us through this process. We had seen, however, how fundamental these 5 Ds are for our own personal growth and to support the children's own process. We had seen this through the story of the little boy who plants a carrot seed, and no one actually believes that a carrot will grow, but he is able to cultivate a gigantic carrot because he has the dedication, he has the discipline, he knows what to do, and he does it. And he's able to discriminate between those aspects along the path that may be detrimental, may be hindering his process. So he knows how to discern, and he has, of course, the determination to get up when there may be a problem along the way and persevere. And of course, he has the love for this project, for this goal in his heart. He has an intense yearning to achieve his purpose. And all of this revolves around a deep sense of duty. So this is truly important to be able to support ourselves with these 5 Ds. And of course, when we walk along this path of ISSE-SE education and human values, we are not walking alone. We are walking with the children's parents. So it becomes fundamental to instaur what we refer to as this triple partnership between parents, children, and teachers. Of course, the teachers and the parents need to work together and have a very strong relationship. Mostly they need to foster coherency, consistency with the values so that the children find the same attitude and approach. Because as we learn more about this methodology, this pedagogy, it actually is no longer a method. It does become an approach and an attitude to the way we live and to the way we teach. And parents and teachers are a model, need to be a model to learn from and look up to at all times. And they play a vital role in providing and modeling this environment and culture of love, which is conducive to the flourishing of right human values and is crucial into facilitating this process. After this, we had a lovely presentation also that, let's say, resumed how the human values are integrated truly in the human personality. And again, this helped us understand how when we help the children, we guide the children, go within and connect to conscience. And this was a beautiful presentation presented by George, who referred again to Aristotle, to the characteristic function of man guided by logos, which is nothing but conscience. When we help children connect and cultivate this characteristic, this human faculty, this wonderful source of wisdom, we are actually initiating the whole process, because the children learn to go within, they learn to follow the conscience, which provides stability, that the body is a water bubble, the mind is a mad monkey, as ISSE-SE says. So we should not follow the body or the mind, but be connected and rooted in the conscience. And as we do this, the light, the inner light that is the conscience, that really illumines our whole personality and uplifts and brings the values into being within us at every level of our personality, transforming us. The process is a process of self-transformation, and we are able to unify what we think, say, and do with the process of the values. And again, the overall process is unifying the outer education that informs and explains with the inner process, which inspires and transforms. So this is the overall process, and how do we go ahead? How do we actually practice it with the children and bring it into the classroom or at home with them? We have 5 teaching strategies, 5 teaching techniques, and we know them very well. We are just going to recall them very quickly. We begin with silent sitting meditation on the light. And again, to reconnect to conscience, to helping the children go within, to connect to their inner conscience. This technique we know is fundamental. And in today's world, it helps them really, truly connect to this inner light. And then with storytelling, we help put the value into a context. And after that, they continue to understand the value, helped by quotes, universal prayers that in a very short, synthetic way brings forth another meaning, a deeper meaning to reflect on. And of course, then we have the technique of group activities. And group activities are essential because the children live the values, they experience the values, and they share the values, and they are able to verify their meaning and their worth, and of course, strengthen them in their own lives. And finally, we have the technique of group singing, which we all know brings so much love to the group. It builds unity, and really it fills the classroom or the home and oneself with this deep love. What is so important and unique about these 5 techniques we have seen when Raksha presented this beautiful presentation, that it is the magic of combining them together is what makes them so powerful. So of course, this means that we need to combine them together to reach all the aspects of the human personality. And this is also why it is so important to really carefully prepare our lessons. And this is when Vasily shared a session dedicated to creating a lesson plan, because it is really essential to understand how we can include the various techniques throughout the program, how we can help the children with these techniques to embed the values at all these different levels of their personality. And of course, we know that creating a lesson plan is also very practical for the teacher and helps us also find and select the right stories, the right activities that bring forth the value. Of course, something else we also need to do is to remember how important it is to apply this methodology. We can do so in different ways, and this program has 3 basic teaching approaches: the direct, the indirect, and the co-curricular. The direct approach, of course, is when we tackle the value, we explore the value directly, and we do use all 5 teaching techniques. The indirect is when we integrate the value in a subject matter such as science or literature or math, and we use the subject matter to so we are actually teaching both the subject matter and the underlying value we are able to pull forth from within that subject. And then there is the co-curricular approach, which of course means to adopt a value approach in whatever activity we carry out with the children. And this naturally, automatically uplifts the activities with values. The ideal situation is to use all these approaches in coordination. But what is really important and evident when we practice the values is that our perspective becomes value focused. So we really see them everywhere in everything, and it becomes much more natural and easy to find ways, innovative ways, to work with the values with the children. In fact, the last session was dedicated and presented by Elena and Verica. It included other compatible strategies. And this is very, very important. And the ISSE-SE Education in Human Values program is really an open structure and allows the creativity of the teachers to flow. And then it allows them to use their own resources on the condition that we understand the goal of this methodology, of this program, to bring forth the values. And we had seen the flavor and the taste and the beauty of experiential learning, and how important this is, because the children actually experience what they are doing and they live the values. And special focus was also given to brainstorming and mind mapping, which is really a truly incredible resource because it combines both logical thinking processes with intuitive thinking. So it is really, there is an outburst of creativity, and it builds insights and really taps that source of inner wisdom in the children. So with this, I conclude the second module, the summary of the second module, and would like to, we will now continue with module 3 with our dear Brigitte. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear Susanne, for this perfect, comprehensive summary of Module 2. It was so clear, really perfect synthesis. Thank you so much. And indeed, we started Module 3 of Course 1, talking about the 5 human values in Christianity. We know that the message of ISSE-SE is the one of unity in diversity, also in the field of religions. And we know that Satya Sai said that we should respect the differences between faith and recognize all of them as valid. So we started with Christianity because it is the most dominant religion in most of our European countries, especially South European, but it is actually also the most dominant religion in the world, as we'll see in some time. It is about 1/3 of mankind that is following the Christian religion. So what was the main message of Christianity, of Jesus, the founder of this religion? It was divine love, exactly like in Satya Sai Education in Human Values. Jesus came to talk of divine love, to teach divine love. It was his prime task. Another important concept or principle of Christianity, of the message of Jesus, was the one of kingdom of heaven, a very important concept. Jesus thought that we should seek the kingdom of heaven, and to enter that kingdom, we should cultivate loving hearts. Then our hearts would become the kingdom of heaven. This reminds us very much of the chest, the treasure chest of the human values, as we saw in different lessons, different sessions. So after talking of that kingdom of heaven, that we know that if we create it in our hearts, we also go there after death, like the kingdom of heaven after our physical lives. What is the great commandment that Jesus stressed? He reminded the great commandment of Judaism, that is to love our Lord as one, and to love the Lord with all our heart and soul and mind and strength. This is the Old Testament of Judaism. But Jesus stressed the second commandment that was also in the Old Testament, but Jesus stressed that we should love our neighbor, ourselves. And this includes our enemies, because Jesus said, if you love only the ones that love you, so what is the difference with what was told to you before? Before you learned that you should love your friends and families, but hate your enemies. And I teach you, said Jesus, to love also your enemies and pray for your persecutors. This is the big difference with Christianity, with the message of Jesus that inspired so many people. The message of forgiveness, the message of including all in our love. Talking about truth, we saw in the message of Satya Sai Education in Human Values that truth is the one that sets us free. Because if we know who we really are, then we behave accordingly. This gives us peace, which brings love, and then non-violence. Because if we know that the divine principle exists in all living beings, how can we be violent to anyone? And we go now quickly to the end of this module 3, saying that peace is very important. Also, we should be called the children of God. And we now introduce the next presentation, which says that see the religion of humanity, that is religion of love. And our dear Jordi Griera will present the 5 human values in all main religions of the world. So please, dear Jordi.
Thank you very much, dear Brigitte. We're going to see the 5 human values in world religions. As we can see, Satya Sai in 1958 made a very powerful statement. He said, "Arise, awake, establish once again the kingdom of God, resplendent with mentions of truth, dharma, and peace. Love your brethren, practice the eternal religion." Then, of course, we go to the world map and we look for a country with the eternal religion. And we see many religions. See that there are more than 15 religions, main religions. So the question appears whether we should, we can find the eternal religion, which is made, as Satya Sai said, of truth, dharma, peace, and love, and also non-violence, in all religions. So we conducted a study some years ago. We conducted a study in which we analyzed every religion, the text of every religion, and to see whether those values were contained there. As we can see, in every religion, they are there. For instance, Tao, 3 treasures I value above all things. The first is love. But in Hinduism, I only pray that during all my life I may have love to love thee. And in Buddhism, hate never ceases by hate. Hate ceases by love. So, and so forth. With all the different religions, we analyze that over a few months, because there are many texts and many religions. But in the end, we were able to verify, as you can see in this table, that every single religion has every single human value. This morning, I thought, listen, it took us many months to do that, but maybe today with ChatGPT we can do it immediately. So I went and I typed to ChatGPT, "Good morning, GPT, how are you?" And then I said, "Can we find, how many times can we find love in Islam?" And GPT replied, "I'm sorry, I can't analyze this, but I can tell you that the Quran mentions love many times." So we have the confirmation of artificial intelligence, above which, nevertheless, there is human intelligence, above which there is always the divine intelligence. Thank you so much. Now we are going to see the relationship between human values and the local culture. And to that end, we have our dear Esther Puentes. Esther, all over to you.
Thank you, dear Jordi. Well, the first thing that I would like to keep in our memories about culture is that it is not a style of life, since not all lives are exemplary or admirable. In reality, culture is that which makes our life into an ideal life. Of course, this means living a life in which we think and act in an exemplary manner, in the spirit of the determined and constant practice of the human values that reside inside of us. Just as a plant does not thrive through being watered and cared for, culture is a result of a process of cultivation of good qualities and the refinement or eradication of bad tendencies. Only in this way will be worthy of being called humans and contribute our grain of sense to the construction of an ideal society. Therefore, a cultural society is one in which its members positively impact their family environment. Those cultured families benefit their communities, Those communities can inspire the people in the countries, and so cultured countries can succeed in transforming the whole world. In addition to this process of cultivation and refinement, it is essential that we keep good company. What does it mean? This involves exercising our power of discrimination in choosing with whom we interact. However, good company is not just about other people. Let's remember how a literal work full of wisdom can also help to permeate and shape a culture too. Dear Suzanne, please go on.
Thank you so much, dear Esther Cris. And I will continue where you have left off with this second part of the 5 human values in local culture, recalling what we went through with Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, A Path of Illumination. And as Esther Cris just stressed, culture is a path of refinement. And what I would like to stress that it is that true culture is universal and speaks to us heart to heart. And because of this, it is everlasting. And this is why this masterpiece, this of poetry, which is worldwide renowned, written by Dante Alighieri in 1301, is still relevant for us today. And it is it is an enormous example of how local culture does embed our human values. And at the time of Dante, when he wrote this, there were multiple meanings in this narrative for him. But what was most important for him was to write the Divine Comedy as a wake-up call. He actually referred to it as a wake-up call. He wanted to help his fellow citizens, his fellow people, to raise their awareness, raise their consciousness, to help them out of what he called the state of misery up to reach true happiness. And he really emphasized how within each individual there is what he called an infinite treasure. And if we explore this process, this journey of Dante, we will see that it is really our own journey. And the infinite treasure is nothing else but the human values that lie within us, which manifest, which are the expression of our true nature. So the value of man, this infinite treasure, is the human values. Now Dante, to go through this process, he is the protagonist of this process. He is guided both physically and innerly. He meets a guide who is Virgil and then Beatrice. We have seen this together. But what is most important is that he has inner guidance, which in his beautiful poetry, he speaks to us as the light of the star. So he follows the light of the star throughout this process. And it is the light itself that illumines the way. So as he moves forward, we realize that this path, this journey of Dante, this masterpiece, is really a journey from darkness to light. He enters into the human psyche, into the psyche of humanity. He goes down deep into the darkest regions to then up towards purgatory and finally paradise through this path of purification, of transformation, and in his words, of conversion, of redemption. So this is a full process of inner transformation that leads us up to the light, which at the end, what happens to Dante? He sees his own reflection in the divine light that he encounters in paradise. So again, this point of self-awareness is actually the purpose of this whole process of Dante, but also of our journey with Satyasai education in human values, to help the children reach the point in which their own self reveals this inner beauty. And again, as we said before, we uplift our culture, we uplift our environment. And as Esther just reminded us of Satyasai's beautiful words, culture is that which makes our life an ideal life. So thank you so much. And I will now ask our dear Elena to take over.
Thank you, dear Suzanne. Well, yes, I'm going to recall what happened, what we talked in the with the 5 human values and education priorities and policies. After doing a conscious research on the rules and laws governing educational priorities and policies at the global level, we found out how the outstanding and inspiring reports and documents produced over the years by UNESCO commissions of experts have defined the human necessities and the goals of education. There is a common main objective in every document, which is the full development of human personality. As a conclusion of this document, it has been stated that education has to be lifelong, value-based to develop good morals. It has to be inclusive in quality and with equity so that everyone is included. At the same time, it must uphold the environment and good human relations. And all this must be done through the awakening of creativity, skills, knowledge, and inner connection. In order to take the necessary steps, 4 pillars have been defined in the 1996 report by UNESCO called The Treasure Within to help focus on the goal. These 4 pillars are learning to do, learning to know, learning to be, and learning to live together. Essential for lifelong learning in a world society. And they can be connected, all of them, with the 5 human values, as we saw in the section 6. According to the program of Satyasai Education in Human Values, education is a lifelong process too, and it leads us to self-knowledge and self-transformation, as we could see in the photograph of the past here. And in order to reach the goal, the 2 types of education are essential, as Satyasai has stated so beautifully. In the same way that 2 wings are essential for a bird to fly high in the sky, and 2 wheels are needed for a bicycle to move, similarly, 2 types of education are necessary for human beings to achieve their purpose of life. Educare is for life, whilst worldly education is to earn a living. Only when a person is equipped with both these aspects, then one can earn respect and admiration in society. And so I'm going to now invite our dear Fabiana to share the summary of the creation, development, and implementation of a course for training teachers in Italy, approved by the Ministry of Education. Good morning, dear Fabiana.
Good morning, dear Elena. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to have presented in 2 different moments of the course 1, module 3, the progress of the training project on education in human values that we have been carrying out in Italy for 2 years, and which is aimed at the public school teachers. A course structured in 3 units and developed within the reference framework of national educational policies aimed at promoting universal ethical principles and awareness of sustainability issues to change the future of humanity and the planet. A path aimed at deepening the educare philosophy and exploring the 5 human values, linking them to specific themes of inner harmony, good communication, harmony in cooperation, and relationships with nature. We have fostered the development of awareness that only by cultivating wisdom and the virtues of the heart, we will be guided to act ethically and responsibly in our relationship with others and nature, deeply understanding the principles of unity. As I mentioned in the presentation, the activity involved teachers on two levels: a level of self-awareness that leads us to reflect on the importance of being an example, of inspiring, of living human values, of creating heart-to-heart relationships. Another practical level aimed at the implementation of lesson plans based on human values in the classroom. The course was greatly appreciated by the teachers, and they communicated the positive outcomes obtained: increased self-confidence, improved atmosphere of love and well-being, good cooperation, ability to trust and entrust by catching intuitions and perceiving unity of purpose, value of man-nature interconnection, inner peace. In a time when we go too fast, it is important to stop and calm down and connect to the spiritual heart. I am pleased to mention that at the end of the course, teachers receive a certificate from the Ministry of Education. I would like to conclude by focusing on a key word expressed in the Satyasai quotation, which is transformation. The transformation of the person is at the basis of the transformation of the world. Now I give the floor to George. Please, dear George.
Hello again. Thank you, Fabiana, and thank you, everybody. It's so wonderful to see all of the team presenting and see the beauty of the program and how it's coming together like a common piece of art. Inspired, of course, by the teachings of Satyasai, the founder of this program, who has given this formula 3HV, which I think bears the essence of the program. Because to understand in depth the human values, we need to have a profound knowledge of ourselves. Because the human values are not coming from without. It is not an information, but coming from the deepest part of ourselves. So Satyasai has many ways to remind us about the different levels of our being. He says, who are you? You are not one, but three. The one you think you are, the body, the one others think you are, mind, and the one you really are. And for this means the true self, the divine self, which here we use the Sanskrit term Atma, like the Greek term soul, very important to underline this truth. And then he reminds to his students that the real MBA is the knowledge of mind, body, and Atma, and being able to master the mind. Then you become mastermind. And then to summarize all this, he gives us this wonderful wordplay that EHV, Education and Human Values, is actually 3HV. Values, harmony, purity for the 3 H's, head, heart, and hands. And then we saw the same thing going back in the past. And we saw that Plato, this great philosopher who has influenced so much the Western philosophy, has again, in order to explain his philosophy, gone to the process of analyzing the human being, and he is analyzed in the same way. He says that there are 3 parts, which are the same like the 3 parts, the body, the mind, and the conscience, the higher part, which is the Atma. We can name it in different ways, as conscience, intellect, heart, or logos, as Susanna reminded us. And then he explains that the human soul should be like a chariot in harmony with 2 horses, and the charioteer is the most important. So this unity and purity becomes a harmony, and we saw this beautiful image of afinado, of a Spanish artist, which means tuning, because it's an inner tuning which makes a man a composer. to educate, transform man into a composer instead of just a computer. So we can say that the essence of all philosophy is the unity of thoughts, words, and deeds, or head, heart, and hands. It is in this unity that the true happiness can be experienced. I will say that this is the essence also of all faiths. So I'll give now the floor to Vasiliki with the next topic, which is the unity of faiths. Thank you. Dear Vasiliki.
Hello, everybody. I am very glad to be again with you and speak to you and also listen to you. I will speak about the unity of faiths and do a summary of what we have discussed. But reading the words of Satya Sai Baba, he said, first of all, have faith. Faith in God and faith in yourself. If you deny the existence of God, it is like you deny your own existence, because yourself is God. Faith is the very life breath of man. Without faith, the body is a lifeless corpse. With the life breath of faith in it, the body is divine. Then we can see the meaning of the word religion. It comes from the Latin religare, that means to bind back, or reunion, to go back to one's origin. So the symbol of the unity of religions, as Swami has given it to us, you can see it here, and all the symbols of the main religions appear here. Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Muslims, and Christianity. The basic truth in all religions, Satya Sai Baba says, is one and the same. All religions proclaim the oneness of divinity and preach the cultivation of universal love without regard to caste, creed, country, or color. And then he says, do not change your religion. If you are a Christian, become a better Christian. If you are a Muslim, become a better Muslim. If you are a Hindu, a better Hindu, and so on. And if you do not believe in any religion, believe in thyself and follow the human values, which we see again in this emblem of the 5 human values. Finally, he said, there is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one God, and he is omnipresent. Now, I would like to call back again George to speak to us about the unity in diversity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Vasiliki. Yes, unity in diversity. This is also a core tenet of Psi philosophy and, of course, of the Human Values Program. Because now, with these last presentations, we cover these fundamental principles of this program. And all are around unity. First, we heard about the unity of 3 H's, hands, heart, and head. Then unity of faiths, now unity in diversity. And because of the importance of this topic, this had presented, if you remember, in 2 parts. The first part was covered by dear Raksha with beautiful presentation showing this unity with beautiful, very beautiful images. And as we can see here, experiencing unity, as Satya Sai says, in diversity is spirituality. the fundamental truth that you should realize is that there is one conscience in all beings. Questions and doubts arise when we see multiplicity where there is actually unity. And then this very beautiful quotation, stars are many, sky is one, jewels are many, gold is one, nations are many, earth is one, beings are many, breath is one, sparks are many, fire is one. So beautiful words in order to focus our attention to this unity. But how can we experience this? This is not something that we can get with the eyes. The eyes only perceive multiplicity. As in The Little Prince, this very famous story we all know, it said, what is essential is invisible to the eyes. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. And then in this presentation, again, we moved back to the ancient philosophy. And what is the purpose of this? I think when we connect with the wisdom of the past, this helps us realize the eternity of these principles. It is not something new, but it is an ever-existent hidden knowledge that we have to discover again. You remember the meaning of the word aletheia, to take away the lethe, which means the forgetfulness, and to remind again to ourselves who we really are, what is the real essence of life. And for this, and in order to realize this essence of unity, you remember that we made a journey to the past with Pythagoras, Heraclitus, and Parmenides. We even mention the Vedic knowledge, and there you can see this very well known quotation from one hymn which is called Purusha Suktam, the Sahasra Sirisa Purushaha Sahasraksa Sahasrapad. That means the Supreme Person has 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 feet. And the same is proclaimed by Sir Isaac Newton, this outstanding scientist of the modern times. In this wonderful book, very famous, Principia Mathematica, he has said that this powerful being is all eye, all ear, all brain, all arm, all power to perceive, to understand, and to act. And so we see for the great thinkers, the truth is one. And one of these great thinkers is also Adi Sankaracharya. We cannot go away from this topic of unity if we don't refer to this great philosopher, who is the founder of Advaita Vedanta. Advaita means non-dualism. And finally, Swami, the Satya Sai, who is the founder of the program, who often we refer to him as Swami, means teacher, says, right from small ants, mosquitoes, and birds to mighty elephants, every being is the manifestation of God. Even the trees, hills, and mountains are manifestations of God. A second entity is just your imagination and illusion. There is only one without a second. So with this, I would like to continue with Brigitte again, who covered the important topic of sealing on desires. Thank you, which is the fourth core tenet, that, as we say in this program.
Thank you very much, dear George. Indeed, we talked about putting a ceiling on our desires, which means to put a limit on our ending desire, to exercise our self-control. We saw that ceiling on desire just means to correct the mistaken notion that happiness lies in the fulfillment of desires. We saw that it is not true, because that kind of happiness is in fact temporary. And besides, it causes us forgetting the true purpose of our lives, which is supreme consciousness. And there is even a paradox, as we saw, that true and lasting happiness can be found only when we limit our desires, as little Marty, the nice E.T., told us. So the main areas of sealing on desires are food, money, energy, and time. We saw that in detail. And we saw that at a global level, ecological balance can exist only if we limit the desires that are connected with harming our Mother Earth, like wasting, consuming too much resources, food, clothes, etc. We saw in detail the importance of vegetarianism, even vegan if possible, because as Mahatma Gandhi beautifully said, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. And another beautiful quote says that we who have so much must do more to help those in need. Most of all, we must live simply so that others may simply live. And now we shall be very happy to listen again to our dear Susanne, who will summarize the important topic of self-sacrifice from I to we to one. Please go ahead, dear Susanne.
Thank you, dear Brigitte. Now, self-sacrifice. Sacrifice, we have seen together, means to make sacred. So self-sacrifice implies a transformation process in which our own lives are uplifted to the point of becoming sacred, holy, ideal lives. And this is a threefold process. It takes us truly from from this individual sphere of the self, and we learn to elevate it with the human values, and we move to we, to this relationship with the others. And it becomes, of course, we manage to go deeper and find unity in diversity. And then finally, we uplift this again and we reach this oneness, a sense of oneness. And to do this, it's a process really of education in which we learn to broaden our vision. And as we see on the right of this slide, you may remember the tree, the self-sacrificing tree, which is an emblem of self-sacrifice, but how we manage to see the full picture. We are not focusing on the details, but on the overall image of the tree. So as we broaden our vision, this is what happens. We become more and more inclusive. We are able to see more and more bits and parts of reality and expand our consciousness. And as we do this, also through the Satyasai EHP program, we see this unity like a thread going through everything. We have this red thread in the world religions, in our own self when we unite thought, word, and deed, and as said, in the unity in diversity. And this process also takes us through a fuller understanding of the meaning of love. We go from a selfish form of love when we are more connected to this individual perspective, and then it moves into a mutual form of love. It broadens. Finally, it becomes a selfless form of love, which is when we are able to put a ceiling on desires, when we are able to sacrifice, when we are able to love all, serve all. So we must do our very best to reduce our vision to a people, to a hole in the door, but really expand our vision, putting ourselves aside and giving more and more of ourselves. So thank you very much. And I'd again like to invite our dear Elena to continue.
Thank you very much, dear Susan. Now I'm going to talk to remind you to recall what we shared in this session of Inspiring Satyasai Educational Initiatives, part 1 and 2. First, Katinka gave us an outstanding and heart-touching example of Satyasai Education Inspiring Initiative in Haiti after the earthquake in 2010. Just after receiving her training in Thailand for a year, she decided to join the humanitarian relief project of the Satyasai International Organization to help at the medical camps. And she found the opportunity to teach the children anywhere, even when they were waiting for the medical check-in or after the daily meals provided for them. Her enthusiastic character made her start doing Satyasai education in human values activities and lessons for children with local youth who wanted to help, and finally with school teachers who wanted to learn the Satyasai pedagogy and philosophy. All the people involved live the experience of the universality of the 5 human values and that they are within every human being, finding a happier and fulfilling life by practicing them, no matter the circumstances and the context. The 5 teaching techniques to be who you are and share what you are good at prove to be the best ways to teach the children and train the teachers. The magic word that she learned in those difficult circumstances was simplicity. The results during the past 12 years have been giving support to 600 destitute children in 3 schools. One of them is a Satyasai school created then, and the name of this school is ABC for Life, and it has 185 students. A small foundation was created in 2018 to support the project. At the moment, there is an online tutoring, weekly conversations with the teachers, online mentoring too, preparation of lesson plans, etc. More than 500 teachers were trained, and they have changed their traditional methods and are creating an environment and culture of love for the children all the time. Katinka practiced love in action and understood that every smile counts. Another initiative in Madrid has been created by Elena Rodriguez and by myself in one of the 40 state schools considered of special difficulty in Madrid. And this is a free, non-formal extracurricular project called The Inner Treasure. A group of 14 children from 9 to 12 years old attend a weekly 2-hour workshop with the objective of finding their values inside and manifest them in the group and in their daily lives. With the 5 teaching techniques, I have found out that silent sitting is making a very important change in the emotional state of every child, and their concentration and attention span is increasing, which is something very necessary in this time. To develop the awareness of the 3H circuit, I have created 3H vitamin bottles as an attractive and practical tool for the children. Coloring mandalas has also made the participants connect with their inner peace and show their true essence. And we can see in the next slide with the results of some of the works made by the children in these workshops. And now I invite our dear Esther Chris to continue with the topic of selfless service and service projects. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Elena. It is so good to listen to these beautiful selfless projects. Thank you. Because selfless service is one of the most powerful ways to keep us aware of the invisible and unbreakable bond that permanently exists between all of us. And why is it our special glory? Because by practicing selfless service, we remember who we are and why it is our unique skill. Because only human beings have the capacity to connect deeply with others and transcend ego barriers to achieve the experience of oneness. So, selfless service enables us to live the process about which Suzanne talked us from I to we to one. Selfless service is a sacred act that comes from a pure heart. This means a heart which is full of love, with an attitude of zero criticism that doesn't attach or reject nothing. Our challenge is to be able to maintain this attitude 24 hours a day. Selfless service should be regarded as the purpose for which man is given life, and at the same time, as the best means by which man can achieve its noblest goal, the main purpose of his life, to know thyself. This is why the most important service project in our lives is to realize and manifest who we really are. we discover that only taking care of I and me and mine is very restricted. We expand our experience when we become sensitized to society and connect and empathize with others and decide to serve. Until we understand that I and we are just manifestations of the same one. And we realize the invisible bond that links everything, since it is the essence of all existence. Dear participants, at the end of the summary of Module 3, with this last briefing on selfless service, we conclude Course 1 in its entirety. Several of us have had the opportunity to present some of the topics you have heard. However, we are also very grateful to our dear colleagues that didn't present today. Esma Gatso-Burzik, who delighted us by leading several workshops that allowed enriching interactions between the participants. Dear Esma, I invite you to say a few words. It's always a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you, Esther Chris. Good morning to all. Now, I have done several workshops during this Course 1, and this is exactly what I did at school with my kids. So, sorry, I would like to stress how important it is to do the workshops with children, especially at that tender age, because it gives them chance to express themselves in safe environment, then chance to understand, grasp the meaning of the values and their importance deeper, and also to practice what is being taught. Every time when we do a workshop, it's a chance for the kids to tap into their inner source, turn to it. And this is what brings them self-confidence and strengthen character. That's why the workshops have lasting impact on them. But they're not good only for them, they are excellent for us as well, because when we create them and when we do the workshops with children, we also grow with them. Therefore, I would like now to thank the team and you, dear participants, for the opportunity to grow with you last these almost 3 years. It was a wonderful experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Esma. Now, the next person I will invite is Cinzia Patricia Lutti, who has been excellently preparing with Jordi the videos for later viewing via YouTube. These videos are invaluable documents that remain available not only for the participants, but for the public at large. Dear Cinzia, it's my pleasure to invite you, saying a few words.
Thank you, Esther Chris. Good morning, everyone. I am very grateful to be part of this special group that believes in the power of human values and the way to transform one's life. I feel the responsibility to make the recordings in the best possible way. And thanks to Jordi, who gave me the tools to do that. I am also very grateful to the whole group who gave me confidence in that. I am happy to contribute so that the valuable information we have shared throughout the course is documented through these videos that we can refer to whenever we want. So what else to say? Just I wish you everyone a good and happy summer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Cinzia. And now it's a turn to Verita Sekulic-Opakis, who inspired us through Satyasai methodology in the classroom and gave us wonderful examples of creativity and depth knowledge in the topics that she dealt with. Still remember your magic code full of surprises. Please, dear Verita, we are glad to have you with us, and we would like to hear a few words also from you.
Good morning to everybody. I'm really happy to be today with all of you. And I would like to stress that education without human values is nothing. And that it is very important for each teacher who deals with children's growth to understand that human values are the essence of every teaching. And that subjects we have at school are in fact the fields in which human values should flourish. And I always thought that I have to give to children food for soul, not only information about some subjects. I've been working more than 40 years, and you can imagine how many words I said throughout these 40 years, but I always addressed the silence in children's soul. And I want to stress that we never know when children will hear this silence, in the silence of their souls, the messages we transferred to them. I have to tell you that I understood the love and the impact of my teacher when I was 40. So we never know when values will flourish in our hearts, but it is of essential importance what we do with kids. And whatever we do, it is never wasted. So that is the reason why I work all my life with children. And I think that I'm blessed with this type of job I have. So I was also very happy to be part of this team because we shared a lot of very deep and beautiful things. And we also had food for our souls. It is very important for everybody who is grown up to first have this food for soul for themselves in order to have something to give really to young people. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I was happy to be there.
Thank you, dear Perija. And now I will invite Varsha Chaninani, who was in charge of several workshops facilitating the relation of the participants on the topics, of the reflections of the participants on the topics presented, and also guided a beautiful meditation on the light, helping us to enter into ourselves in a gentle and very profound way. Dear Varsha, we are happy to listen a few words from you too.
Thank you so much, dear Esther Chris. Hello, dear participants. It has been a joy and honor to be here walking along the path of Satyasai education and human values with all of you and to work with our lovely team. I was especially happy to have the opportunity to share my experience with the silent sitting technique and support the course, online course, and dedicate time to the meditation on the light. The technique is so powerful that it takes us straight to the truth and the inner source of human values. I would like to invite and encourage all of you to please prioritize that silent sitting technique in your life, in your routine every day. And now I would like to wish you a beautiful summer and thank you for this journey together. It has been really, really wonderful for me. We have shared it for almost the last 3 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Varsha. And we are also immensely pleased to mention Ines Lerliger, who unfortunately could not join us today. Thanks to her, we have an orderly and systematic documentation of the list of the participants in each session throughout the course. Without the collaboration of each member of this team, it would not have been possible for this course to take place as it did. Now we invite you to take 5 minutes break, after which we will have the great joy to sharing with you what's next. Thank you.
We are back, and as you saw, our summary took much time. Of course, could not be otherwise. Actually, we wanted to be a little more brief and to be able to cover it in the first part, in the first hour, but it took a little more. But it was really very nice to go during this journey that we have together. And at this part, now, as Esther said, that we are going to speak about what's next. But before that, I would like all of you, and now, if possible, to unmute, to start your cameras, to turn off your cameras so we can see each other. And as we end now this module and this course 1, and we are ready to welcome the summer and to have some relaxed days. So now maybe we can proceed explaining briefly what's next, how we will proceed. And for this, I will invite Vasiliki, one of the most senior trainers of our group, to give us an overview, and then to, if necessary, to clarify some things.
We have happily concluded the first course, and now one may wonder what is next. I know that several of you here already remember and have attended the presentations and seminars we have given for many years in your countries with George and other important trainers of other European countries. And now I'm going to say again what is necessary now that your turn comes. So, as we know, course 1 of the ISSE-SE program, the introductory level that we had, is open to any person interested in getting familiarized with the essential spiritual principles of Satyasai philosophy and in applying them in their personal, family, and professional lives, especially in the field of education. After completing the training sessions for modules 1, 2, and 3, all participants who would like to obtain the course 1 certificate formally issued by the ISSE of South Europe will need to prepare a presentation. So we encourage you to prepare a presentation on one of the topics covered in course 1, based on one's own personal self-inquiry, as it truly is a beautiful opportunity to further deepen one's understanding, a chance to enhance our personal commitment and ultimately our daily practice. So you can prepare a paper. Each participant who decides to prepare a presentation to obtain the certificate will be assigned a tutor who will be one of the members of the Institute of South Europe coordinating team. The tutor will guide and accompany them along the process. The presentation will be delivered online to members of the Institute of South Europe team, as well as to participants of the online course 1. The presentation should have a duration of approximately 20 to 30 minutes, with further time for feedback and an additional questions. A workshop to deepen the topic should ideally accompany the presentation to fully explore the chosen theme. Now, there will be details of timeframes, and they will be sent via email shortly. If you have any questions now, after this description of what you have to do, please let me know. I will be happy to answer as better as I can. Maybe some would ask how many pages this would be. I would tell you that it depends on what you really want to express from your experience and from what you have heard from the team all these years. I would say 4 pages, 3-4 pages would be enough and satisfactory. Your tutor will help you also to write this as well as possible. Do you have any other questions? Is there a course 2 after getting? Yes, certainly. There is a course 2 and a certificate again, after which you would be able to prepare lessons for children in the community, groups of children, or in the family. And of course, to become a teacher of human values and work in a school, you should have the diploma, which comes after the 3rd course. Any questions that you may have, of course, you may write to us by mail and we'll be happy to answer.
For starting the course 2, because we discussed about this, it is good to complete the process with the people who would like to get a certificate. And for this, we don't know how many we will would like to work in this for this. So we will send you very soon and written information, and we will explain this clearly, and we will ask you to answer if you would like to present. Would like to do this process.
There is another question. When this presentation will take place?
This will, as we do now the sessions, it will be, this has not been decided yet, but it will be like now, instead of having presentations from the members of the coordinating team, we will have the presentations from the participants. Again, I'm sure that it will be inspiring sessions, because from our experience so far, we've seen that each one gives from the point of view a very valuable input, even if it is the same topic that has been presented by one of us, but it is shown from a different direction, and really it is so rich process. And that's why I will motivate every one of us in this group that we have worked together all this time, that we continue next year again, and we will have during our sessions these presentations, and then we will have also the opportunity to discuss, to have questions and answers, creative workshops. But the regularity of the meetings and how much time this will take, this all will depend on how many of the participants will decide to do this. So from you, we will expect to reach an answer when we send the information within 1 month, let's say, for if you want to participate in this process. I think this will be done like this, and it will be very enriching for every one of us. And then when this is over, we can continue as it was asked with course 2, but we cannot continue before we end formally all the processes for course 1. Okay. Certificates and papers is, I remember I had once Vasiliki was also there in personal communication with Satya Sai. And I remember that we gave to him some certificates from our work. And then he didn't pay any special attention. He said, okay, good, but he put them on the side. Because the most important thing is the practical implementation, the practical experience. But if the work that we are doing here is done in the proper way, this also helps to have this practical experience. Because when you work for something, then you know it better. All teachers know that. When you want to present something, when you want to prepare, then you are obliged to study more, to put everything in an order, and all this process is very helpful in learning. So
Baba also said to us then, George, if you remember, he put the certificates aside and he said, I will guide you. And I am sure this is what he will be doing to all of us when we work for the certificates.
And not only, he's all the time guiding, and he's the motivator of all this work, not of our work here, but as we saw in Ghana, in Latin America, in US, in Australia, in Asia, all over the world. Because this is, as we have shown, a universal program. At this point, as the time runs, I will ask also Susanne, who is our vice director of the Institute. And but I mean, there is no distinction of the members, but let's hear from Susanne a few words.
Thank you, George. And thank you everyone for your lovely contributions. And really, thank you. Expressing our gratitude, I think, is the only thing that remains, because these past years together have been so enriching. And as George was just mentioning, what is so extraordinary is to see how even the same topics, when they are presented from different people, become so enriching, because each one of us has his or her own experience and understanding, and putting it all together, this really helps us expand and understand further and deeper. So it's been a wonderful process. I thank, of course, all of you participants. It's been lovely to be walking together along this journey. And of course, our lovely team I have learned excellence really through all of you. So it's just been really, really, truly special. So thank you again. And before wishing you a happy summer, which of course I wish you all, I would now like to invite Raksha, our dear Raksha, because we do have a surprise to give you at the end of this final course 1, and she will tell us what this surprise is. So thank you, dear Raksha.
Thank you, George, Suzanne, for your guidance as well with all our team. And like you said, roles are just opportunities of service, and but we're very grateful as a team to both George and you and every single member for everything that we have shared together. And as we can see, dear participants, we do want to share a little gift with all of you. So for that, what you can see in front of your screens right now is 5 columns, different colors. Each of them has a number. So we invite each one of you to write. You don't have to write it in the chat box. You just have to take note of it yourself, or maybe just remember. Please choose a color and a number. So for example, you can choose, I don't know, blue 3 or whatever. So we're going to give you a few seconds so that each one of you can choose a color. and a number. I will pause myself for 15 seconds so that you can make your selection, and then we will share the gift.
It's not necessary to reveal, just keep it in your mind.
Sure.
Yes, because we received the chat.
I think by now everyone would have chosen a color and a number. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to share with you that behind these columns, each one actually represents one of the 5 universal human values that Satyasai talks to us about and that we have learned so much about. And behind each of these hidden paint strokes and numbers, we actually have the practical aspects of each of these values. So we will now reveal which one each one of you chose. So you just take note of the practical aspect of the value. So if, for example, you had chosen green 5, your gift would be the gift of equanimity. And the truth is, you know, once when I was sitting in front of Satyasai, I remember asking him this internal question, Swami, as George said, beloved teacher, I asked him deep inside, Swami, I just don't know how to express my gratitude to you for all that you have given us. And the answer that came deep within was practice, and just, you know, practice my message, be an example of this message of human values. So this gift is an opportunity for each one of us to practice over the summer holidays. Maybe we can be inspired through stories, quotations, songs that have a relation with this special practical aspect that each one of us got. Maybe some challenges we also face sometimes and how to overcome them. But we really, as we said, it's a journey. So we invite you to keep walking and enjoying this Satyasai Educare journey together by the practice of especially the gift that each one of you got. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for all that you have shared. And I know that our dear George will end the session now. Thank you.
Thank you for the gift, dear Aksa. One of the many gifts that we got through this course. And now we will reach to the end of this session. This is the 16th session of Module 3. And it is my duty to thank first all the members of the coordinating team with whom we worked so nicely, harmoniously, regularly, with devotion, with dedication. And so I would like to mention the names of all the team randomly. So Palermo, Brigitte Castan from Israel, Jordi Griera from Spain, Raksam Etani from Spain, Vasiliki Stefanidis from Greece, Elena Rodriguez Clavo from Spain, Verica Sekulic-Opacic from Serbia, Esma Gadzo Burcis, she's born in Bosnia, but she lives in Croatia, Ines Claudia Leliger from Switzerland, Cinzia Patricia Lutti from Italy, Fabiana Lalucia from Italy, Varsa Chainani from Spain, and Esther Cristina Puentes from Colombia, but lives in Switzerland. And after this, our gratitude also is to you, with whom we walk together this beautiful path, and we will keep walking, as we said. And the last, but the most important, is to express our gratitude to the founder of the program. We're infinitely grateful to Sri Satya Sai, our beloved teacher and founder of the Human Values Education Program that bears his name, for inspiring our lives with his teachings and for giving us the opportunity to serve in spreading his message to humanity. It is he who has guided our work and who has facilitated each of us to give the best of ourselves to its realization. To him, we offer this work as a flower that springs from our hearts. And it is not only us, it is hundreds and thousands of educators, students, parents who have been benefited from this program all these years. And maybe if we want to summarize, the outcome of this program is to bring happiness and peace in the individual, in the family, in the society, in the world at large. That's why one prayer that Satya Sai liked very much is, may all the worlds be happy, which is in Sanskrit, we very well known is Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. So we would like to close with this prayer. Let's keep this very dear into our hearts, and let's make our lives, another nice saying of Satya Sai, like flowers, we speak silently in the fragrance of love. So let's take more time. I will share now screen. We wish you all, it will be nice that all the members could share, but already we almost all spoke. So we can now say good summer, wish each other. We will keep in touch by communication, and we'll continue like this academic year. We will start in the beginning of October with, as we said before. So all the best. Bye-bye, and thank you.
Spread its wings, fly across the earth.